Västerbotten. Here, winter isn't just a season, it is a state of mind. Darkness descends like a heavy shroud over the landscape, locking in secrets that the summer tries to forget. We find ourselves in Vännäs, a place where the veil between our world and the other side is eerily thin, uncomfortably thin. Through archival research and local testimonies, we have mapped out wounds in the earth that refuse to heal. We are going to the military camp, where a mother's panic is trapped in the walls. We are going to the execution site, where the ground still screams. But we start at the most infamous location of them all, a place where you should never, ever stop your car. Vännäs Church. Turn off the lights, lock the door, and get under the covers. You're watching Bedtime Chillers. If you aren't already following the channel, make sure to do it now so you're not left alone in the dark. The church is a beautiful building from 1825, situated high above the river. But it's not the church we're here to talk about. It is the ground surrounding it, and the road that runs right alongside the old stone wall. This is the home of one of northern Sweden's most well-documented and persistent hauntings, the Black Lady, or as the elders in the village call her, the lady with the headscarf. This isn't a vague shadow in the corner of your eye. This isn't just a feeling. The witness accounts are terrifyingly specific. They speak of physical encounters with a woman who looks as alive as you and me, until she doesn't anymore. The scenario is almost always the same. It is late at night, often during the dark winter months. You are driving along the churchyard wall. In the beam of your headlights, you see a figure by the roadside. She is described as an elderly woman, deeply hunched over. She wears clothes that do not belong in our time, a thick, dark shawl, a wide skirt of coarse fabric that seems heavy with dampness, and a headscarf tied tight under her chin, hiding most of her face. Many witnesses have stopped. Driven by a sense of duty, you don't leave an old person out in the cold in the middle of the night. One testimony from a truck driver who drove this route regularly is particularly unsettling. He says he slowed down because he thought it was a confused woman from the nearby nursing home. He rolled down the window and called out, "Do you need a lift? It's cold tonight." The woman stopped in the slush. She turned slowly. The driver described her face as pale, almost gray, with eyes completely void of life, but filled with a bottomless, abyssal sorrow. It wasn't dementia. It was something else. She didn't step toward the truck. She didn't reach out a hand. Instead, she slowly shook her head, and with a voice that sounded like dry leaves against the ground, she whispered, "No, I am going to my husband." Then she lifted a hand and pointed, not along the road, but straight into the cemetery, toward a specific gravestone leaning under the old birch trees. The driver looked where she pointed. When he turned his gaze back to the roadside, she was gone. There were no footprints in the snow where she had stood, only emptiness. There are more stories. Teenagers sitting in their cars at the church parking lot have testified to seeing a dark shape moving between the rows of graves. She doesn't walk like a human walks. She seems to glide, searching, her gaze always fixed on the ground, reading the names on the stones, looking for the only one that matters. A couple visiting a grave to light candles during All Saints' Day got a shock when they saw a woman standing perfectly still by the gate. They thought she was waiting for someone. As they passed her, they felt a cold so intense it penetrated their winter jackets. When they turned around to say hello, she had dissolved into smoke right before their eyes. Who is she? The theory, whispered from generation to generation in Vännäs, is that she is a guardian, a widow from the 19th century, who loved her husband so deeply, or whose grief was so complicated and unresolved that she refused to accept death. She declines the ride because her home is no longer among the living. Her home is by his side in the frozen earth. She is stuck in an eternal loop, condemned to walk the road back and forth, guarding the one she loved most. But there are those who say she doesn't just guard, that if you look too long into her empty eyes, she might think you are the one she has been waiting for. Just a few kilometers away from the grieving widow, the energy shifts shape, from sorrow to pure horror. Vännäs Camp. Here, soldiers were trained in the early 20th century. But in 1918, it wasn't war that killed them. It was the Spanish flu. On the outskirts of the area stands a small, unassuming building. The corpse shed. This is where they were stacked. Young men who had just been full of life, now blue-frozen corpses awaiting transport. There is a story connected to this shed that makes your hair stand on end. The story of Albertina. Albertina had a daughter, Lil Greta. When the epidemic swept through, the little girl died. But in the chaos and mass death, there was a constant fear among the relatives. Apparent death. What if the doctor was wrong? What if she wakes up? Albertina, who was heavily pregnant, couldn't take it. One night, she trudged through the snow to the corpse shed. She had to know. She brought a friend for company, but at the door, the friend's courage failed. The fear of infection and the dead was too great. Albertina was forced to go in alone. Imagine that scene. A pregnant woman, alone in the dark, fumbling among cold bodies to find her child. She found Lil Greta. She was dead. But Vännäs seems to have a curse upon it. Albertina later gave birth to the child she was carrying, a girl. She was also named Greta. The second Greta, and she too died of the Spanish flu. 2 daughters, same name, same corpse shed. Those who visit the shed today via the Story Spot app testify to a crushing feeling in their chest, an impulse to flee. It isn't evil, it is the echo of a mother's double trauma trapped in the walls. We have spoken of grief at the church. We have spoken of sickness at the camp. Now we must speak of violence. There is a place in Vännäs called Sandkammen. Here, for generations, people have heard what is called the howling. For a long time, people thought it was the wind in the ravine, or folklore spirits, but the truth is bloodier than that. On November 26th, 1845, something terrible happened here. A man named John Persson was brought here in chains. He was sentenced for murdering his wife, Greta Stina. He had drowned her. Here, on Sandkammen, the axe fell. John Persson was publicly beheaded in front of hundreds of spectators. It was a brutal, bloody event that etched itself into the memory of the region. When people hear the howling today, it isn't the wind. Is it John Persson's last scream of regret or pain before the blade fell? Or is it the ground itself, remembering the blood that ran into the sand? This is not a tall tale. It is a historic site of an execution, and the energy here is heavy, threatening, and angry. Vännäs is a beautiful community, but beneath the surface, the layers of history remain. The lady seeking her husband at the cemetery, the mother seeking her child in the corpse shed, and the murderer who met his fate on the ridge. They remain. They wait in the shadows, in that brief moment when you think you are alone. So the next time you drive past Vännäs Cemetery on a dark night and you see a woman by the roadside with a headscarf over her head. Don't stop. Don't roll down the window, because she isn't waiting for you. And you don't want to know what happens if she decides to get in. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to follow the channel for more videos like this. If you want to support the channel, like the video and leave a comment about experiences you've had yourself. I always reply to every comment. Sleep tight if you can.